Hello and welcome to Night Fright. I hope you're doing well tonight. Now, turn off the lights, put on one earbud, and get comfortable. Because what you're about to hear was sent in as a true story. This one comes from a listener named Ashley Williams, and what happened to her and her family started with a mistake they didn't even know they were making. It all began because Ashley's school was right next to an old graveyard in upstate New York. Where she comes from, there's a deep-rooted belief. You never disrespect the dead. You don't step on their graves, you don't speak ill of them, and you never mock their resting place. If you do ... they'll follow you, haunt you, make your life miserable, even generations later. Ashley and her cousins were just kids. They didn't know better. They used to cut across the cemetery after school, running over headstones, playing hide-and-seek between graves. They thought it was harmless, but then things changed. Her youngest cousin Emma was just 4 years old when she first saw something. She was in her father's room, late at night, and she came out crying, saying, "There's a man in Daddy's closet." Her father, Uncle Mark, checked everywhere. Nothing, but Emma wouldn't go near that room again. One winter night, as they walked past the cemetery on their way home from school, Emma suddenly screamed. She cried and said there were people crying, wailing, screaming at her. Ashley and her older siblings, Matthew and Carly, heard nothing, just the wind, but Emma was inconsolable. They had to carry her home. A few weeks later, something even stranger happened. Uncle Mark left Ashley and the kids at Aunt Claire's house to grab an old TV from the grandparents. While he was gone, they heard chains, heavy metal dragging along the floor, followed by deep breathing. It stopped the moment they saw Uncle Mark's shadow pass outside the window. Around the same time, Ashley's dad, David, was doing laundry alone when something shoved him hard in the back. He nearly fell. There was no one else home. Ashley herself remembers being 6 or 7 and telling her sister Carly, "There's a man in your closet. He watches me." Everyone laughed it off. But not for long. Things died down for almost a year. Then it started again. Ashley and Matthew were playing outside the church, across from the cemetery, when they both suddenly froze, then started crying. They swore they heard someone, a woman, weeping near them. But the street was empty. They were alone. Soon after, Ashley's family moved across town. They thought the hauntings would stop. They didn't. At first, it was small, slamming doors, cold spots, sleep paralysis. But then came the night Ashley's mom, Rebecca, woke up to a woman's voice calling out, "Lisa, Lisa." The weird part? No one named Lisa lived there. They searched every room. Nothing. Ashley's little brother, Dylan, suddenly got deeply religious. He was always nervous, quiet, and stayed up late praying. He wouldn't say why. Then Carly and their dad both heard a voice, a woman, again, say hi, from the laundry room. The room was empty. After that, Carly started getting sleep paralysis regularly. But hers was different. She said she'd wake up frozen, with a demonic woman drooling on her face. And when she finally snapped out of it, she could still feel the cold wetness on her forehead. One night, Carly saw it. She was headed to the bathroom when she stopped dead in the hallway. Something was standing there. A tall, black silhouette, completely still, even though the light was on. It stared at her. She ran back to her room in tears. From that point on, it followed all of them. Ashley started seeing it in the corner of her eye, standing in the kitchen near the stairs by her closet. She started hearing it too. Just 30 minutes before writing her story, she said it was humming from inside her closet. A low, broken tune. 5 seconds of sound. Pause, sound, pause. At first, it had been a man. Now, it was a woman. Even their toddler cousin, Tyler, started talking about it. He refused to enter Uncle Mark's old room, crying, "The man is in there. He's watching." Ashley doesn't know what they disturbed, whether it followed them from the graveyard or something older latched on. But she knows this. Whatever it is, it hasn't left. And it's not done yet. This story was sent in by someone named Kevin Ross, and what happened to him inside a psychiatric ward is something he can never explain away. And neither can I. Kevin wasn't due to mental illness. He's been through depression, anxiety, and spent time in treatment. But one thing he always swore, he never hallucinated. Not once, no voices, no visions, until that one day. He was around 27 when it happened. He was spending time in a psychiatric facility after a breakdown. Not proud of it, but not ashamed either. He made a friend there named Marcus Green. Marcus was calm, grounded, the kind of guy you could talk to about anything. Mid-30s, big laugh, warm eyes the color of coffee. One afternoon, during group therapy, the therapist was doing the usual coping strategies lecture. Kevin wasn't paying much attention. Then, out of the corner of his eye, he saw Marcus start to twitch. Nothing weird at first. People twitch and fidget all the time in places like that. But then Marcus began trembling, like something was passing through him. A deep, shuddering current ran through his body. Kevin turned to him and froze. Marcus's eyes weren't brown anymore. They were yellow. Not hazel, not golden. A bright, unnatural yellow, like a car's headlights cutting through thick fog. And they glowed. No one else saw it. The therapist kept talking. Other patients looked bored. But Kevin sat there, heart hammering, unable to move. Marcus didn't say a word. He just trembled, as though something ancient was waking up inside him. After maybe 10 seconds, his body slumped, and his eyes turned brown again, like nothing had happened. After group, they never talked about it. Not once. They stayed friends through the rest of their time there. Kevin waited for a sign, something, but Marcus never changed. Never twitched like that again. And yet, Kevin swears what he saw wasn't human. He doesn't know if it was a possession, a glitch in reality, or something darker. But to this day, he can still picture those yellow eyes glowing like fire. And he prays he never sees them again. The next story was sent to us by Victor Hernandez, and it takes place on a lonely stretch of road in rural Mexico. What started as an ordinary drive turned into a nightmare they still can't explain. Victor's uncle and his friend Jorge were farmers in Oaxaca. They were driving an old produce truck home late one night after a long day of work. It was quiet, pitch black, the only light coming from their headlights. Victor's uncle looked in the rearview mirror and saw a horse, just far enough back to not be clear. But something about it made him uneasy. He brushed it off and dozed off in the passenger seat. Then he dreamed. In the dream, a horse with huge, black, empty eyes came galloping alongside the truck and slammed into the door. He woke up gasping. His friend Jorge was pale, gripping the wheel tightly. They were doing 50, and this truck wasn't made for speed. "Why are you driving so fast?" his uncle asked. Jorge said it had been following them for miles. The clopping of hooves was now deafening. Something was gaining on them. The uncle turned to look, and there it was. The horse, massive, black, eyes like two pits of night. It wasn't galloping like a normal horse. It glided alongside them, silently, eerily. Then it looked at Hor. He broke. Tears ran down his face as he muttered prayers. The horse didn't blink, just kept pace, staring. Then, as suddenly as it appeared, it slowed. The truck sped ahead. Victor's uncle looked back one last time and saw it floating. Its legs were gone. It just hovered there in the middle of the road, eyes locked on them. When they got home, they told the story to George's father. He didn't blink. He said that road had been built over sacred ground, places never meant to be disturbed. They were lucky, he said. Lucky the demon horse let them leave. This one story comes from Luke Sanders, who lives in North Carolina, near a place the locals call the Devil's Tramping Ground. It's a strange circle in the woods where nothing grows. They say if you spend the night there, the devil himself will visit. Luke was 18 when he and his friends decided to go. It was midnight. One flashlight between 4 guys. The GPS took them to a gate, and from there, it was a 10-minute walk through the woods. They found it, a perfect circle of bare dirt. No grass, no leaves. Completely dead. They stayed maybe 15 minutes. Heard some animals, nothing much. But when they got back to the car, something felt wrong. They all felt it, like something was watching them. They drove in silence until they hit a 4-way stop. And that's when they saw it. A daycare center, empty. But on the swing set outside, one swing was moving. Steady, smooth. 3 swings were still. But the 4th, it moved like someone was in it. Not wind, not a breeze. Just a silent, invisible push. It didn't slow, didn't sway. Just rocked back and forth while the others sat dead still. Luke stared. His friends went silent. The car didn't move. Then someone whispered, "We shouldn't have gone there." And they drove off fast. They never went back. To this day, Luke swears something followed them. Something they couldn't see. But it saw them.